Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sonia. Here on my channel, we have healthy discussions about life, love, dating, and relationships while promoting self love and healing. I sometimes use reality shows and hot topics as my medium. Today, we're talking about Married at First Sight, season 16, episode 5. I know this is late, you guys. I had a busy week and I am with cold. So I'm going to get through this and then I'll see you guys live tonight at 8:15 p.m. where we're going to talk about solo traveling. I do want to say thank you so much for supporting my channel and for being here. If you're new here, I don't do a recap or review. I just kind of point out some things that I notice. And if I feel like it would be a great lesson or a takeaway, then that's what I discuss. First, I want to start with Nicole and Chris. I really like this couple. I've said that I like this couple. I can see that Nicole is struggling a little bit with being comfortable in this position of having someone who values her and cares for her. And I am hoping that Nicole doesn't sabotage this relationship because this seems a little uncomfortable. For me, I saw Nicole kind of trying to test the waters with Chris. And I love the fact that Chris set his boundaries. So they were out having breakfast or lunch or about to do run punch tasting. And at dinner, I'm going to combine the dinner and the run punch conversations together. But they were talking and Nicole talked a little bit about old Nicole, who kind of was selfish, wanted to have her own way, wanted to party and do her own thing. And she kind of asked Chris about it. Chris let her know, like, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with being mistreated. And for me, I got the feeling that that was Nicole's way of trying to see, will I be able to push him? Will I be able to just automatically have my way? And she did this a few times, like kind of like measuring the waters. And I love the fact that Chris kind of stands firm and I'm not going to allow you to mistreat me. So you can tell that something Chris has learned from his past is to set your boundaries up front. And I love that he's doing this. He's letting her know, I will not be mistreated. I will not allow you to take things out on me. And we are going to communicate in this relationship. You don't dictate the entire relationship. And because Nicole's kind of putting it out here, like she's kind of, let me see what I can get away with. And I want to speak to this. And I don't think it's intentional. People have been taught to do and conditioned to do whatever has allowed them to survive in their environment. But I want to say that it's predatory behavior for anyone to look for a weakness in a person to try to exploit. And we don't always know that we're doing this, but a lot of people do it. Where can I exploit your kindness? So if that whole saying, if they're too nice, I'm going to run all over them. Like, even if you feel that way, if you actually follow through with that, that is predatory behavior. I didn't review last season. However, Morgan did that a lot with Ben. That is extremely predatory. So be mindful of that type of behavior. Because a person is kind, because a person is loving, because a person is willing to help you or support you, that does not mean that it's the opportunity for you to exploit them or take advantage of them. That is predatory behavior. And I really want to outline that because we talk about that a lot with men, but we don't talk about how women use that tactic as well. They just do it a little differently. So a guy may see, oh, she doesn't have a father figure. She doesn't have men around to kind of guide her. I can mold her to be the woman that I want her to be and kind of take advantage there. A lot of women will see a nice guy and take advantage of him being a nice guy and exploit that. So be mindful of that type of behavior. That is predatory behavior. Okay. But I love that Chris set his boundaries and he let it be known that that behavior is not tolerated over here. So no. So I really love that Chris is going to require that Nicole toes the line when it comes to how he is going to be treated. And that is something that we can all learn from. That is very, very important in relationships because you want to be treated how you want to be treated. And you are in charge and you have the power to ensure that people treat you how you want to be treated or you remove yourself. And I can tell that Chris is like, I'll let this go, but I'm not going to let you mistreat me. So those are my thoughts on Nicole and Chris. Next up, we have Jasmine and Airris. One thing I can say about this group of cast members this season, A lot of them don't know how to have conversation. They don't know how to gather information. They don't know how to speak to other people, and they don't know what they're seeking. Aries, leave Jasmine's bacon alone. You miss bacon. We know it. Aries is really low key jealous that she gets to eat the bacon, but he's been on this no bacon kick. So leave that lady alone. She loves her bacon. Let her eat her bacon. But we have Jasmine and Aries, and they've had several conversations. And I just kind of want to point out a few things. Number one, when they both talk about the issues they've had in past relationships, I would love to have them explore more as to why they were the way they were, and what have they learned, and how have they gained tools to ensure that it isn't a problem in the current relationship. Aries says that he was childish, and you can very much still see this. And then he said that, he was playing games basically. So for me, I would have liked for Jasmine to ask him to explore that more. What did you do? What were you doing? And how have you changed? How do you feel like this experience is going to stop you from having displaying the same behavior? I wish you would have explored that a little bit more. You want to get the information when you are dating or getting to know one another. Um, and vice versa. When Jasmine was saying that she worked a lot and she really didn't make time for her partner, I would have liked for Aries to inquire more about that. How is that going to be rectified? I do like the fact that Aries said he's willing to support her and help her with the dogs and her mom and the family and things like that. But I also want to know just their relationships and who they are as individuals and how to make a relationship work. How are they going to work past the past issues that they've had in relationships and deal with the past behaviors that's been detrimental in those past relationships? How are you going to show up better this time around? What have you learned and what have you applied as far as tools to what it is that you've learned about yourself? And they didn't have that conversation. And another thing, Aries is so focused on sex, and I want to say to Aries, you're more than just sex. So I feel like that's kind of like his cover up. That's probably the one area that he's gotten a compliment out of. I know we all come down really hard on Aries, but I still stand by. I really feel like a lot of what's going on with him is what he has been fed, and he just doesn't know how. I don't feel like he knows how to get out of it. I don't feel he knows how to relearn or decondition himself from the things that he's been conditioned to believe about himself. You had this cousin who was super protective, but were you one to let him know what behavior was not acceptable? Or did you just tell him that's what he was? Like for me, for some reason, this resonates that way with me so tough that it's just, he's been told he's going to be nothing, that he's a player, that he's not good enough. I have the feeling, I could very well be wrong, but I have the feeling those are the kind of things that were fed to him his whole life, and I don't think he knows how to get out. I don't think he knows the tools that he needs. I just think he's surviving the best way he knows how. And it doesn't excuse anything. It doesn't mean that he has to be mistreating people or playing, but I don't even think of Aries as a player really. I'm like, that he doesn't give me I'm suave. He doesn't give me that. I don't know. So here's a real quick story time. I remember I dated someone years ago. They were very intelligent, very ambitious, very well put together, funny, just had all of these great attributes about them. However, they were always told when they were young that they were going to be just like their daddy, and that they were, I'm not going to repeat the name. So basically, you were going to be a whoremonger and you were never going to be able to settle down with a woman. You could always cheat, like was fed all this negativity. And that is something that really haunted them. And they had a hard time committing because they believed that they would never be good enough, that they would never be faithful, and they're going to just hurt women and tear everyone's heart and lives apart, whomever they entered. And so it gave him a really warped perception of themselves, and they never felt like they were good enough for a relationship. And I get that sense from Aries in a lot of ways. I hope that's not the case, but that's just kind of what I get. And that With that said, he will really have to separate himself from people who speak about him that way, and he would have to learn to get to know himself and recondition his thoughts. He would basically have to unlearn all that he was taught. And I'm not saying that Aries doesn't want any responsibility for his behavior, but I feel like there's more there. I don't think this is just somebody who feels like I can play around because I can play around. So for the two of them, I feel like there's just a lot of self nurturing and self parenting and care and love that needs to be done for the both of them. But I tell you what, Aries took that lobster. I would have been so mad at him. Like he really does need to learn how to share more, how to give more, learn more about partnership, you know? I think he's trying. I think he has the concept of it, but I don't think he knows what to do. So, like I said before, I just don't think right now it's the time for them to be married. But I will say they're here and they're in it. And the next best thing to do is to really get some help, get some support to help them kind of grow in those areas and deal with those parts of them, both of them, deal with those parts of them that makes them feel the way that they feel and allows them to show up in a relationship the way that they do. Like, why does Jasmine have to be so busy in Aries? Why do you feel like sex is the answer to everything? Those are parts that they could definitely explore for sure. Next up, we have Diamond Mac. I don't have a lot to say about these two, but what I will say is that there is like no depth there. There's no real conversation about trying to get to know one another. They're just kind of going along with the flow, just spending time together, just talking. They're not trying to get to know one another. And I am curious to see how that's going to play out. That's really I really don't have much more to say about those two other than I'm waiting to see where the authentic connection is. He seems to really like her physically and like her smile, but I don't know if he knows how to get to know someone. Um and I think she's looking for someone who could take a little bit more of the lead, and I'm not sure that she's really trying to get to know him either. So they're just kind of enjoying the moment and enjoying the vacation. His jokes are very interesting. She's being nice, she's being sweet about it, but I can't necessarily see these two going the distance. I don't see these two really truly engaging with one another, honestly. So we shall see what happens with the two of them. Next up, we have Kirsten and Shaq. Okay, so they go ATV riding. Am I saying it right? I don't know. But they go ATV riding, and Shaq is very cautious. And what I want to say is, I know in our community, we dismiss PTSD a lot. And a lot of us are walking around with PTSD. Being impacted by PTSD isn't just for war veterans. Any traumatic experience can leave a person with PTSD. Um, Honestly, I was super proud of Shaq for going for the ride, for riding through the water. He did it at his own pace, but that is okay. Because if you understood what happens to a person when they've lived through a traumatic event and how that makes you avoid it, which is one of the signs of PTSD, people are avoidant and hypervigilant. The fact that he had the courage to do this activity and go through the water and tackle his fears were huge. And when you have a partner with PTSD, you can't control how they respond to things, but supporting them and encouraging them is important because it really takes a lot. Anybody who has a phobia, for example, if you are afraid of deep water, if you are afraid of heights, if you are afraid of dogs, just think about how you feel when you are faced with those things. That's how a person with PTSD feels. There's a physiological response as well. Your heart is racing, you're short of breath, you become really anxious, you become tensed up. You start thinking about the last time you were in this space. Remember, the brain and the mind's job is to keep you safe. And so your body, your brain is like, hey, no, the last time we did this, we were in a major car accident. You almost died. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And to overcome all of those feelings and go along with this ride is huge. It's huge. So I'm really, really proud of Shaq for doing the activity and getting over his fears. He did it at his own pace, and that's a-okay. I also want to talk about Kirsten. I really realized this episode that Kirsten really wants Shaq to see her for her. And I think she's sensing that he doesn't see her for her, that she is considered to be like a notch on his belt, not sexually, but just something else that he's achieved. And I think that is kind of what's bothering her a little bit too. Now we can talk about this kissing. She's come up with a lot of reasons why she won't kiss him, which kind of brings up trust issues because the reasons keep changing. I can't kiss, I don't like to kiss, I don't want to kiss, you didn't ask for a kiss, the conversation could be quick as, you know what, it just takes some time for me to kiss. And once we get there, I'll let you know, period. Just all of these reasons and excuses for not wanting to that keep changing. Like I can see if she said it all, but it's like her reasonings keep changing. That could cause some trust issues because what really is going on here? And Shaq senses that as well. But I also can see Kirsten's point of view when she's like, you're talking at me and not to me. And you want to be perfect and you want to have this perfect presentation. And I don't know that you want me. I don't know that you're trying to get to know me. And I think that may be what's happening. She knows that he's all about appearances. Not saying that she isn't, but I think on a deeper level, Kirsten wants someone who wants her for her and who wants to love her. She may not still be attracted to Shaq. Um, it may take her getting to know him. She may never be attracted to Shaq. Who knows? But I think in this moment, in this episode, what I saw for her is a desire for him to kind of really get to know her, try to get to know her versus him trying to be someone he's not to impress her. That is actually a turnoff, and you can tell when someone is doing it. So for Shaq, I would say be more yourself, be honest and true to yourself. Honestly, in dating, period, you want someone that wants you and loves you for you. If you are pretending to be someone that you're not, they can't love you for you. They don't see you, they don't know you. And then you later become frustrated because they love a version of you that you presented and you didn't present your true self. But you have to be comfortable with your true self for that. So that's something the two of them can work on. I really enjoyed how they were able to have this conversation about attraction. Although I will say it's still early. It's still early. But she was honest and she was gentle, and she did say that the attraction is going. I'm getting more comfortable. Now on the after party, Shaq said that she says, "Don't touch me off camera." So if that's the case, if she's hot and cold like that, I would say, Kirsten, you need to be true to yourself as well. And Shaq, wouldn't allow someone to play ping pong with me. Like if you don't want me to touch you, I won't touch you because I believe in autonomy. And I don't want to do it for the camera. So I think they both need to set boundaries and they both need to be honest about who they are, what they want, and what they're doing here. I think both of them are being dishonest, and that's problematic. So next up, we have Clint and Gina. They went on an excursion that went completely wrong and they were out. Again, this is another couple that they don't really try to get to know one another, but you got a glimpse into their perspective of the experience. Clint is like, hey, I am here. They put us together for a reason. We're going to figure this out. I am enjoying my time with you. I want to make the best of it. I am enjoying getting to know you. Although they don't really talk about one another or ask questions or really inquire about who the other person is, but I feel like that's Clint's perspective. And then for Then for Gina, they're talking about attraction, and out of nowhere, she's seemingly nowhere, because this could be editing. Out of seemingly nowhere, she's like, "Well, the physical attraction isn't there yet." Really, she could have stopped there. She could have just said, "Physically, I'm not ready to move to the next level, but I'm enjoying getting to know you. And yeah, I'm enjoying our vacation, or I'm willing to take this one step at a time, or I'm can't wait to get to know you more." Instead, she goes in and goes on about his personal features. And a part of me feels like there's a little insecurity there on Gina's behalf, because when she took off her covering, Clint didn't give her all his praise for her body. And she says she's done a lot of work to embrace her curves and to keep in shape. And I'm thinking, well, maybe she feels as though he's not attracted and she just kind of wanted to get out ahead of that thought process. The other part of me is just curious as to why she brought that comment. Why was that comment necessary? So she just goes in on gingery features and how she doesn't like gingery features, and you saying you weren't attracted was enough. I don't know why she kept going. I'm curious about that. But you can tell it really hurt Clint. And what's unfortunate is that Clint is going to try to protect himself, and in front of everyone, he's going to let her know he normally likes women who are in a different shape than her. And Clint is going to be pointed out as the bad guy. And I find that to be very unfortunate. I wish he had known to just like not put it out there like that, but we'll see what happens next week. But I really want to know Gina's intentions behind that statement. Were you trying to hurt him? She said on the after party that they're honest with one another and they banter. But let me just be honest. I felt like she was deflecting. I don't feel like this was a genuine statement, as far as them having this conversation and her pointing out that not only was she not attracted to him, she doesn't find ginger people attractive. I just think she went a little bit too harsh, and it seemed to come out of nowhere. So I'm curious about all of that, but I really think it was an insecure moment for her, and she was just trying to feel better about herself. But you never have to tear another person down to build yourself up. So that needs to be understood. But it really hurt Clint. And you could tell this is going to be the unraveling of the relationship, because where do you go from there? Because now they're both back in their shells and defensive, and it's game on. So it was really sad to see. And then Gina talked about her different guys and not having anyone to support her. And even Clint was trying to show her, like, I know you're a business minded woman. I'm gonna try to support you with this, but we need a little balance. She she said her picker was off, and I'm gonna have to agree. I think your picker was off, because if you are dealing with someone who's doing the same thing or similar to you, they understand, right? They understand what it's like to be an entrepreneur. They understand what it's like to balance life and balance building a career or building a business. And so they will be more supportive and understanding. If you have people who can't understand that, that means these are people who aren't where you are in life. And I have a feeling, excuse me, guys, I have a feeling that is who she's with. And so then I'm curious, Gina, do you pick men who are not where you are so that you can feel more superior to them, so that you can feel that you have more to offer? Or do you go solely on looks? Is that what's important to you? Because I don't see her gathering information that will say, okay, I can have him as a partner for life. Right? I don't see her trying to get that information. A lot of these couples, the only two couples that are having real conversations, honestly, is Nicole and Chris. Kirsten and Shaq are a little bit, but the two who are really trying to see if you are the one for me and if I'm gonna make it past the decision day are the two of them. So I'm just curious as to what she was looking for in the past, that wasn't working out for her. And is she willing to let that go? So that is it for my thoughts on Married at First Sight season 16, episode 5. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you stayed into this point, please thumbs up the video if you like it, like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you are not already. I will see you soon. Take care, be well, and please don't forget to love yourself for who you are. Mwah. Take care. Bye bye.